In this video, I will tell you a terrifying story about a funeral feast that I found myself in against my will. Imagine unearthed graves, mysterious disappearances, living corpses feasting right in the cemetery. By the end of the video, you will find out what happened when I became trapped among those who were supposed to rest underground. Enjoy watching. The Funeral Feast. My name is Mark, and I'm a private detective. Most of the time, my work is mundane: cheating spouses, missing items, minor corporate fraud. But this investigation turned into a nightmare from which I barely escaped alive. It all started with a missing body. A woman named Evelyn hired me. Her son, Daniel, had died in a car accident. A month after the funeral, she visited his grave and found the ground disturbed, the coffin missing. The cemetery caretaker told her it must have been animals, but someone had stolen the entire coffin. And this wasn't the first time. Over the past 2 weeks, bodies had gone missing from 5 different graves. The police shrugged it off and closed the case, so I had to investigate on my own. Night at the cemetery, I arrived just past midnight. The air was thick, damp, and carried the scent of wet soil and something rotten. I brought a flashlight, a camera, and a gun, just in case. As I wandered between the graves, I felt like someone was watching me. The silence was too heavy, like the moments before a storm. Then I heard it. A scraping sound, metal against stone. I followed the noise and saw 2 people standing over an open grave, digging with their bare hands. Their fingers clawed through the earth, pulling up chunks of dirt and worms. Beside them lay pieces of decomposing bodies. Someone had ripped them apart like food. My heart pounded. At first I thought they were just grave robbers, until one of them turned to face me. His skin was like dried parchment. His eyes were sunken, hollow. His jaw stretched too long, his teeth crooked, yellow and sharp. He sniffed the air. "You smell alive," he whispered and grinned. I didn't wait. The chase, I ran to my car, and they ran after me, but they didn't just run. Their bodies started changing, joints twisting, fingers stretching, skin tightening over their skulls. They moved too fast, barely touching the ground. I reached my car, slammed the door shut, and started the engine. One of them struck the window, leaving long, jagged scratches. "Warm meat is always better," he whispered, tilting his head like a curious predator. I floored the gas pedal. The city hides secrets. The next morning, I went to the police. I told them everything I saw, showed them the photos of the disturbed graves. They laughed. "You watch too many horror movies, detective." I left the station with a lump in my throat. If they wouldn't help, I'd find the answers myself. I started digging through old archives, and I found something horrifying. Willow Creek Cemetery wasn't just a burial ground. In the 1800s, they dumped the bodies of criminals there, but they didn't just bury them. They cursed them, ensuring they would never rest. There were legends about a family that lived on the town's outskirts. They were called the Gravediggers. They didn't die. They fed on the dead, and when there weren't enough corpses, they started hunting the living. Descent into the underground. I found an old tunnel beneath the cemetery. It was once used for burying plague victims, but the entrance had long been sealed. I moved a few stones and crawled inside. The stench of death hit me immediately. The walls were covered in deep claw marks. Someone had tried to escape. At the far end of the tunnel, I found their lair. Shattered bones, dried blood, rusted cages, and in one of them, a person. He was barely alive, his skin covered in scratches, his lips cracked and dry. He lifted his head and whispered, "They'll be back soon." The final moments, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned just as something cold clamped onto my wrist. One of them stood inches away. I could hear his breath, the foul stench of rot coming from his mouth. "You're not leaving," he whispered. I tried to break free, but in an instant, the others pounced. Hands grabbed at me, claws dug into my skin. They pulled me down, their mouths opening in savage hunger. I screamed. Darkness swallowed me, and the last thing I heard was the sickening crunch of bones. The funeral feast continued.